Welcome to another episode of Only Time Can Tell. I'm your host, Ken. And before we begin, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And also, we got merch down at the bottom, so don't forget to click to also help support the channel so we can basically grow this and bring you new and exciting guests each and every week. Don't forget, we like to celebrate the ordinary doing the extraordinary. I want to introduce my guest, BB. BB, thank you for coming out. I appreciate your time. Why don't you share with our viewers a little bit about yourself, how you got here?
I grew up on the east side of Harlem, the East River houses. I've been back and forth from jail basically half my life, selling drugs, using drugs, just doing things that was negative.
Okay. So now grew up, shout out to East River or whatever. I used to live right across the street. So you said, all right, you grew up in East River houses or what have you, and you got into a little bit of trouble growing up. Now, let me ask you, was that a result of you coming up in a single family home, or did you have both parents there? Like, what was the home situation like?
Well, both my mother and father was in and out of jail.
Okay.
So I was like back and forth, but most of my life I was living with my grandmother.
Okay.
So my mother would come home, she'll get established, I'll go move with her. She'll get locked back up, I'll go back to my grandmother. My father was in and out, but with long stretches.
Right.
Basically, you're looking for love in all the wrong places.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You start getting friends and you just start adapting to what they're doing. That's what basically led me there, because I didn't have no problems with I needed clothes or it was hard for me to eat or anything like that. Like my family was tight-knitted. It's just something that I got into and I just basically caught tunnel vision.
Okay. So I get you. So that's pretty heavy, right? So you figure, all right, you didn't necessarily have a stable background. So, human nature, you're going to basically gravitate to wherever you get love or whatever. So I guess in your case, that would have been what? The streets? Okay. All right. So what was that like, just being out on the streets or whatever? Like, like how was it growing up? Like what age are we talking about?
Really started running around probably 9 or 10.
9 to 10 years old.
Really running in the streets that's like, this is where I want to be.
Right.
I get out of school, I want to go outside. At first it was fun.
Right.
It's something new. It's like you discovering something different.
Right.
My surroundings was different. I'm not in Harlem no more. I'm in the Bronx. So at that age, it's like I'm in a different environment.
Right.
Because the people up here is not doing what the people down there that I'm used to doing.
Right.
So basically, how would you say, like, I wouldn't say a trend, but I followed the way of life that was going on up there. So I ran the streets. I wound up coming back down here about 14, 15, and everybody down here is on a different time up there. Up there is violence. Down in Harlem, you trying to get some money. All my friends out there selling drugs. So I'm like, you know what, they can do it, I can do it. Becoming a product of my environment. I'm not thinking no consequences, repercussions. I'm not really seeing any consequences, repercussions to them. You don't really get to witness the bad. You see all the glamour. That's what I got into it. And at the age of 16, I caught my first charge. I got caught with a knife and I got caught with some crabs. Okay. And since then, it's like, if I'm out of jail, I don't last more than 6 months.
Wow.
I got 7 felonies, 6 state, 1 federal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it took to my federal charge for me to be like, yo, hold on. I'm missing something here. Right. Like, I'm having fun, but I'm missing out on a lot of time.
Right.
I'm missing out on my kid life, my family. I'm missing out. I got people that's dying while I'm in here that I genuinely love.
You know what? You said something that was kind of interesting, because I know growing up, I grew up in the 80s or what have you, when like crack hit the east side like wildfire, right? And a lot of people that I grew up with who went that route, they either went one or two ways. They either went to jail or they wound up, being murdered or whatever the case may be. Which, seeing that, I was like, all right, well, that's not the route I want to go, especially if those are the only two options. So it's just like, now I'm just wondering, now you said something that was kind of interesting. You said you saw people, selling or whatever, but you only saw, I guess, one aspect of it.
The positive aspect.
Right.
I looked at it as, at the time I looked at it as positive, like it's nothing but to gaining money. Okay. I'm gaining a name for myself. I didn't really see you going to jail, you losing your freedom, going through them struggles, your family going through it because you're not there. The things that we don't look at. Now, like, I look at everything differently. My perspective on life is different. The crazy thing is like, it's insanity. You keep doing things, the same things, and you keep thinking that you're going to get a different result.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, you brought up an interesting point. So now I'm wondering too, right? Because like as a father, I know how important and how integral it is to be a part of your child's life. So I would imagine like you growing up and not necessarily having that stability from your parents, you're already carrying a certain pain. You know what I'm saying? So do you think that might have also kind of been your vision or your scope, like when you're out running out on the streets, where it's like, I'm already in pain, so going to jail or doing this can't hurt me anymore?
I don't think I really looked at it like that.
Okay.
I think it was more of, I'm just going to do what I want to do. A lot of people will make excuses about the things they're doing, but I think like everything becomes into one. Instant gratification. Everybody wants this instant thing, because if we could go to school for one day and become millionaires, everybody would be going to school. If I could do one shift at work and I come home with $5,000-$6,000 in my pocket, everybody would be working.
Right.
This is what I want. I want the money. I want to be able to go get me some clothes. I want to be able to go out. I want to be able to do this when I want to do it.
Right.
And a job wasn't going to do that for me. So
would have done it. It just would have been a longer process. It would have been
a longer process.
Right.
And like I said, instant gratification. What happens with that? You start off slowly, but it eventually comes to greed.
Right.
And that was my downfall.
Right.
Because at that age, I should have been good. Not to say I should have been good, but at that age, doing what I was doing, a little $300-$400 a day, that was good enough.
Right.
But I wanted to make more.
Right.
I wanted more. I was being greedy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then the pride started setting, everything else. You know what I'm saying? Everything that'll feed on the negativity and make it work. So that it's like I trapped myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then being young and mentally not like grown, because I'm still, like you said, I'm missing my parents, the people that's supposed to nurture me,
right,
and teach me these things, and they've been in the streets. So it's like, how they say, you could learn from my mistakes, you don't have to make them. So it wasn't no lectures and you do that. I didn't have that.
You just found them for yourself.
I just went out there, and then when the people realized what I was doing, my family, now they come and they try to talk to me. I don't want to hear it because I'm already stuck. I already got tunnel vision. I don't want to hear nothing. Yeah. Now I'm getting some money. Like, you got jealous, you got mad because y'all don't have it. I made myself into a worse person without, not purposely though.
Yeah. So now you were saying briefly, like, I guess the last time you went away or whatever, like, I guess you had the epiphany, like, yo, what am I doing here? So what was that like? Like, how did you get to that particular point?
Well, my first offer, right, was 10 to life. And the feds is like, you get a mandatory minimum, and then this year is the top. They wanted me to cop out to 35. I wasn't taking that. Right. But then I'm like, yo, at this time I wasn't really doing nothing. Right. I wanted to get my evidence, everything coming in. I'm looking at the evidence. I'm like, yo, they don't have nothing on me. They saying they got videos of me doing something. It's not me. It's a whole different person. My lawyer realized it, and he talked to the district attorney like, yo, you're the wrong person.
Right.
So now this is the funny part. If you don't know the federal law and you don't really know what's going on, you think, oh, case is over.
Right. So
what they did was, I was home 6 months and before they came and got me. The bid I did before that, they used as relevant conduct. It was during our investigation. I can't beat this man.
Right.
So they tell me, yo, listen, you gonna go to trial or you gonna take this 35? That's just something I gotta do. I'm like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna sit up, I'm gonna wait. Now, for the simple fact that they realized that it wasn't me, they came down. So they got what you call a B1B, because the top one was the B1A.
Right.
A B1B is 5 to 40. So I copped out to 15 and a half to 21 and a half years. All my co-defendants was mad because they like, yo, they really don't have nothing on me. Right. But I realized, I'm going down State Law Library, I'm realizing what's going on. I'm like, yo, I still got a chance to get home. When I wound up going to court, copped out. Now on sentencing, the judge like cut me some slack for real. I had a whole bunch of people write letters and all that. And one thing she said, listen, I'm gonna cut you some slack because you did your bid. And that's basically all they got. Right. But you have to do some time. The minimum is 5 years. Everybody else, they don't have a criminal record like mine. So they getting 5. So she's like, I can't give you the same thing as them. So I looked up that 70 months. And right there is like,
You got how many?
70 months.
Okay.
So right there, I'm like, hold on, I gotta start reevaluating this.
Right.
It could have been over for nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And as I'm thinking, it's like, ain't none of this worth it. None of that money I was making is worth it.
Right.
The money I had, I ain't got nothing to show for it. And the only people I could depend on while I'm in here is my family.
Right.
And I'm out there, I'm doing whatever I want. And this is affecting my family.
Right.
So how can I come out here and keep me doing it and keep hurting my family? And not only am I hurting them, because any person get locked up, you're hurting yourself too.
Right.
A person might not admit it because of pride issues.
Right.
But that's what's going on. When I came home, before I came home, I already had it in my mind. I can't play.
Right.
So they released me. I wasn't coming around here. I already had it in my mind. If you keep bad company,
Right.
I gotta reevaluate my friends. I gotta reevaluate my family, because sometimes it's just not your friends dragging you in the wrong direction. Sometimes it's your family.
Right.
And then, certain people, they all they waiting for is somebody back there. Listen, I got a brick for you. What's up? And I drop it down. Yeah, I need some money. I was down a little. I had a couple people like, yo, you stay out the way. I already had it in my heart. It was over. Right? The streets ain't what it was.
Oh yeah, especially digital age right now, man. Instagram age, social media, you do.
And it's like, I got more to prove to my family than I got to prove out there.
All right, so you said, all right, so you made up your mind, all right, listen, this ain't making it. Yeah, I want to come home. All right. So then what was that like when you came home?
It's like the angel and the devil. It's your conscience. It's like,
because you know what you could do.
I know what I could do. I know where I don't want to go. So I got one thing, just go out there, 3-4 month run, you get some money. And it's like, nah, it ain't worth it.
Right.
The money's not worth it. Doing programs, getting certifications. Before I left the halfway house, I already had a job.
Okay.
So since I've been home, officially home, because the halfway house is still doing jail time. So since I've been home, I've been working. So now I done been through a janitorial service.
Okay.
I done been in the parks department, and now I'm working at Mount Sinai Hospital. You know what I'm saying? So I've been there for a year and some change.
Okay.
It's like, I'm rapidly growing. I'm at home with my kids all the time, and that's the best part.
Right.
I'm home with my family. I'm not looking over my back, worrying about the cops are coming for me, whether they running through my house. I ain't got to watch my back to make sure ain't nobody trying to rob me. Right. I'm my average Joe, and I'm content with that. I'm happy with that.
And how many kids do you have?
I have 2 sons.
2 sons.
Right, and then all together is 6 kids.
6 kids?
My wife. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You just mentioned that you have 6 kids. You seem like a fairly young brother. Like, how old were you when you started?
Well, my first son was born when I was 17.
17. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
He's about to be 17 in a couple more months.
Get out of here, really? And your youngest?
My youngest is 2.
Oh man, yeah. God bless you. So you don't get any rest, man.
No sleep. No sleep. Until they go to school, then it's like, all right.
Right. Yeah.
Daycare, like.
So I got you. So then I would imagine too, that was also like motivation too, because it's like, my parents wasn't there because they was in and out. I'm not there because, stupid choices that I made that's affecting them. Like, I got to break this cycle. Otherwise, they can repeat the process. And, what that whole saying that the sins of the father will revisit the kids. Right. So I definitely applaud you.
I appreciate that.
I need to do something different. All right, so now you're coming out, I guess you're square now, right? You don't have to watch your back or whatever, that feels good. You're there for your kids or whatever. So now what are you doing, man? Like,
basically, like, I've been looking into a lot of things. Like, me and my cousin talk all the time, like buying houses, finding a side hustle, legit side hustle. Right. So it's just working my brain, trying to figure things out, you know what I'm saying? And I know where I want to be, but I have to make a track to, so it could be like, this is how I want to get there.
Right.
So it's the main goal, but you have to have a bunch of small goals to get you there. Right. So you can see the progress. So that's really what I'm working on, is like becoming a better human. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, the first people that the kids look up to is the parents. Right? So if I'm doing what needs to be done, that carries over to them. If they see me out there being negative, it's like, all right, you can do it. And then if I try to tell them something about it, it's like, you're doing the same thing.
So now, since you basically your life took the turn that it took or whatever, have you ever considered like maybe like mentoring or, talking to younger people? Like,
I think I never considered it, but one thing I do, I always talk, not just to younger, older people too.
Right.
I still got people my age, older, that I know, they still out here doing things. It's like, yo, it ain't worth it.
Right.
I mean, some of them might get tired, I'm only responsible for the effort, not the outcome.
Right.
As long as I say what needs to be said, then it's like, it's on you to take them action.
Right, yeah.
And there's another example, leading by example.
Right.
I could tell you, like, yo, I'm working, I'm doing good. I could tell you anything, but I'm working, I'm doing good, and you see I'm doing good.
Right.
So you can do the same thing. Y'all here selling drugs, and I'm doing better than y'all.
Right, yeah.
That's motivation right there.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you got something that no money can give you, and that's peace of mind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you can go to the park, with your kids.
And I have to worry about nothing.
No issue. All right, so now you've been home or whatever, you've been through hell and back, right? I would imagine you had a strong woman in your life to hold you down throughout all of that. How was that like?
It's like my backbone for her.
Right.
When I'm down, she lifts me up. If things is going wrong, she's by my side. She don't leave me out there to dry.
That's important.
When I need advice, I go to her. When I need some suggestions, I go to her. If I'm messing up, I listen, because she's not gonna hold her tongue. It's like, it's a big blessing to have her. Because most people, they don't want to tell you nothing.
Right.
You're just gonna reap the benefits or anything like that. They really don't care too much about you, so they just let you fly off the hinges.
And that's interesting, man. That's also a testament to how blessed and how fortunate you are too, because a lot of people, coming up the way that you came up, wouldn't have necessarily had that, man. So for you to have that lets you know you definitely had like somebody looking out for you, up in the heavens or what have you or whatever. So that's rare these days, man. All right, so being a dad, what was it like raising your children? I guess in particular, like your first son in comparison to your second son, because the first son, I would imagine you had him young when you were still in the streets, and the second child, you're home, living in a, more respectable, I guess, life or what have you. What was that experience like? What was the difference that you could kind of like give us?
So my oldest son, right? Like I said, I was young, so it was more like, if I'm financially there, I'm doing my job. Because like I said, I missed out on it. I'm feeling like buy whatever he wants, whatever he needs. I'm doing my part. I spent time with him, but not the time I should have spent. I could have been a better father. I'll never deny that. There's things that I should have been doing that I wasn't doing. But now it's like, even with my son, my newborn, it's like, I try to have them like as much as I can. They say you always make the mistakes with your first child, so you won't make a mistake. So I learned from that, because no matter what, all that stuff that I done bought him and all that, at the end of the day, it's like what he really wanted was time. And as I learned that, I established that ground. I hit the pavement with him now. I sit there, I had multiple talks with my son, and I let him know, listen, I'm wrong for this, I'm wrong for that. And not that he asked me or he said anything to me, it's just like certain things you just gotta own up to.
Right. Yeah, you gotta be accountable.
Right. And they'll respect that more. Right. And you're not saying that because when you're not saying that, it's like you just don't care.
Yeah, okay.
So now it's like both my kids are in like the same standard.
Right.
I don't look at one differently, or there's no favoritism. Right. I'm there for both of you. So
and you know what? And not necessarily to beat you over the head. You was a kid who had a kid, and one of the things that I've always told my son, right, is my only job as a dad is to make sure that I get you better than my dad. So it's like, and the same I would imagine applies to you. You grew up, your dad wasn't really there. You was at least financially there, which in a sense was better than what you had. So You gave them that. Now, was it the best? No. But it was the best that you knew at that time.
Right.
You know, and the beautiful thing about life is that we're always evolving and always growing. So things, if you're doing it right, should always get better. Should always elevate. My thing is not to say that you did anything wrong, because like I said, you did the best with what you knew back then. It wasn't like you knew you could have did more and was like, nah, after that, man. Right. Nah. Yo, just take the money, that's that. All right, so you mentioned that there was a difference in terms of, you know, you not necessarily being there with the first son or whatever. Now I would imagine too, with you being younger and you having a child with a younger woman, I would imagine there might have been some tensions that might have prohibited from you from being there as well, right?
Yeah.
Could you expand on that a little bit?
Basically, like I said, like for my first son, like I did a lot of time, so I wasn't really there with him. But while I was home, financially I did for him, and there's been times where like I wasn't allowed to see my son.
Right.
Nothing I did.
Almost like a power thing.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And at the same time, I'm still providing financially.
Right.
So it's like more time could have been given on my part, but I had the time to do it. But at the same time was being taken away.
Right. And people was young, so
yeah.
All right, I hear you. So let's move forward. So you know, you was able to mend that, so everything's in good standings or what have you.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, in terms of with your son, not necessarily,
everything,
because all we get at the end of the day, it's all about the children.
Kids,
you know, as far as the personal things, that's whatever. But you do have a good woman with your younger son, so I'm sure that you know.
Yeah, everything is everything. Like she loved my older son, like with that kid.
So.
To be able to experience having a family like that, and like where the kids have two parents in the home, and you're able to show them something different.
Right.
You get a different type of feeling as a person.
Yeah.
And I think that's what helped me grow a lot too. Because every day you look at these kids, it's like, I'm doing this for y'all now.
Right.
It ain't for me. I did what I wanted for me already.
Right.
It didn't work out good.
Yeah. If you don't mind me even asking, how did you even find this woman?
Well, she lived down the block from my grandmother.
Okay. So someone you was always familiar with.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right, so my producers also mentioned that now, like, you've also set things up where you plan on doing more traveling and stuff like that.
Yeah, like, that's one of my big things. I like to travel, I like the scenery. I take a lot of road trips.
Right.
Okay. Due to me being on federal papers, I wasn't able to move around the way you want to move around.
Right.
So now that I'm off, it's like I'm able to do more. There's no restraints no more. So it's like, now I'm looking into doing things and having fun, enjoying life.
Right. It's one of your favorite places.
One of my favorite places I've been to?
Yeah.
I would say Puerto Rico. I like
Puerto Rico?
Yeah, Puerto Rico. It's like, it's not that I was in the hoods or anything like that, even though I went there because I had a son there, but it's like the scenery.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, like you see a different scenery.
Right.
Like, it makes you want more out of life. And just like understanding the background and the culture of the island, like,
especially growing up in East Harlem, right?
Yeah. I mean, now you get the direct effect.
Right.
You
right.
see what's going on. And I went out there. I did like a lot of tours and stuff. I learned a lot from being out there.
Okay.
Like just standing on the fort and realizing what went on here. People was fighting for freedom, and people lost their life here for that. As of being out here, like we take that for granted. There's a bunch of people that lost their life so we could be free.
Right.
This is the things I've been doing out here selling drugs. The number one killer of a black man is a black man. When you start to experience things, you start to look at things from different angles, different perspectives, you get the understanding of life. Certain people is just breathing, they're not living. It's like when you live and you get the experience, it's like it hits you different.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And that's one of the reasons why I think a show like this is so important. Because, you know, with all the wisdom, as you can tell by the grades, with all the wisdoms that I have, it's basically about like giving back, because I've been taught that that's how you become successful, by sharing the wealth, you know. And the wealth doesn't necessarily have to be monetary. It could be your experience, as what you're doing. It could be your experience, it could be your time. I'm saying, like, whatever you have an abundance of, as long as you share that, give that freely, you'll be rewarded. The universe has no choice but to give it back to you tenfold, I believe. So one more time for our viewers, right? What was life like 15 years ago? And what is it like today, and what's the difference?
15 years ago, I was in a jail cell.
Wow. Right.
Trying to beat 2 cases.
And I could imagine the amount of stress, and you got butch over your back. Like,
the crazy thing is, going to jail, I really didn't care. I wouldn't have been coming out doing the same thing.
right,
So I'm saying multiple times.
right,
So it's not, and nothing that like, not to say I had fun in there, but it's like, it didn't faze me. Whereas now it's like, it phases me now because now I got the better look at life.
and that's kind of the sorry to cut you off, and that was kind of the point that I was touching on before. Like, if you're growing up, you know, and you're in an environment where you feel like your elders don't really care, nobody's pouring into you, you're already going to be running around with this pain subconsciously that you don't even realize that you have. That makes it easy for you to live reckless. So then when you find yourself in a structure where you're being confined, because at the end of the day, especially as a young person, all you want is structure. You know, give me some structure, right? And if the state, if that's coming by way of the state or by way of the feds, it's like, all right, this is giving me what I need, you know? In a weird kind of way, if that makes any sense.
No, I know what you mean.
You know?
I know what you mean.
Right.
But you have a lot of people that, not for nothing, live better in jail than they live in the streets.
Right.
They accept more in jail as the disrespect and the beatings and all that than they would in the streets. And it's like, you would never understand it.
Right.
There's a certain thing that you would never get.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing you'll never get. How you can go to jail and abide by the rules, but you come home and don't care about the law.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that, because I think one of the things that blew my mind, right now, I have a relative, very smart, very brilliant individual, right? And this wasn't a jail thing per se, but the concept was still the same, right? So in his last year of high school, his whole thing he would always mess up, so he would wind up repeating the last year. And I was like, yo, dude, I don't understand. Like, why you keep, you know, messing up or whatever? And what he said to me was so profound, like I had to take a step back. And his whole thing to me was just like, yo, when I'm in high school, everything is all mapped out for me. I know what my schedule is. I know how everything is going to look. Whereas if I go out into college, that's different. Like, I got to pick my classes. I got to make my schedule. That for me is scary. And that blew my mind. I was just like, yo, that makes a lot of sense, man.
Yeah, because a lot of people are scared of change.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I had to learn too in my many, many years on this earth, my many, many decades, is change will only come when things become uncomfortable. I don't know anybody who's sitting back on the lap of luxury, life is good, now it's time to make some change. It doesn't work like that. You got to find yourself like in a rock, I guess in a hard place, before you're just like, yo, you know what, this ain't it. Yeah, I got to do something different, man. All right, so you said 15 years ago, you wouldn't have been here. Now you're here, and you're here on your own accord, not because we forced.
Right.
That's what's up. That's a hell of a difference. That's a hell of a difference. So based off of everything that you've experienced, from life on the streets to being a family man, do you have any advice that you would give to maybe young people who are like, you know, who might have been following your old footsteps or whatever? Like, what could you tell them that could convince them that, you know, you're not some old dude that's just talking, you know, crap right now? But what could you tell them that would basically be of any use?
Stop thinking things can't happen to you, because they definitely can.
Right.
Because as black people, we got that thing where things can't happen to us.
Right.
We too smart for the cops. They're not gonna get us.
Right.
They always do. They learn every trick in the book.
Right.
And if they don't know how to get you, they got somebody on the street that's working with them that's gonna get you. At the end of the day, what more in life? Strive for greatness.
Right.
Don't let nobody tell you you can't do something. Just be the best you can be. And being the best you means being positive and living right and being legit.
Right.
Because you don't last long in the streets. You don't want your mother coming to visit you in the cell, and you don't want your mother coming to visit you in the burial ground.
Right.
So to stop all that, do the right thing for the right reasons.
Yeah, the streets definitely have an expiration date. I've learned that years and years ago. You've learned that there's definitely an expiration date on the streets, guys. And I know I mentioned this before, and I'm gonna throw this out again. But have you actually ever considered being a mentor?
At the end of the day, I'm a mentor without saying I'm a mentor.
Right.
Because I'm doing it from the heart, and a lot of things that's done from the heart don't gotta be talked about out loud.
So let's fast forward 15 years later. You know, you've been out on the street, you saw what that got you. Now you've been home or whatever. What's been the advantages, or what have you basically gained being home as opposed to when you was out there?
I think this time around, the first thing that set me in the right way was meeting my wife. She didn't help me out tremendously. She had a lot of information with me to get me going straight. The next thing I did was get my credit score correct, got it good. My wife also helped me with that. At this present time, me and my wife, we own 3 cars.
3 cars?
Yeah, 3 cars. We got a nice
Hold on, and it's only just you and your wife. It's only 2 of y'all. Y'all got 3 cars.
Yeah. You never know when one's gonna break down.
Damn, man, what am I doing wrong?
Every day we strive to be better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And before I used to strive, but now I'm learning how to budget my money.
Right.
I'm not spending stupidly.
Right.
I gotta, me and her, we be on the same page.
So it sounds like you are now more rich than what you were 15 years ago when you just had like, you know, wow, that's dope, man.
I was so used to throwing the money away. Growing up young like that and doing things like that, you don't know the real quality.
Yeah, you're not thinking about, it's all about right now.
Yeah, it's all about right now.
Right.
And now I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to get this, but why am I getting this? How is this helping me out? Like right now, if I'm going to take my kids somewhere, I don't want to bring them on a train. Right. I don't want to put them on a bus, all this going on. I'm able to put them in the car and make sure they get safely to where they got to go. If I want to take a road trip, I want to take them to the water park, I'm capable of doing that. So it's like, I guess right now, my greatest achievement since being home was meeting my wife.
So, you know what? And that brings me to my next question. You know, because they always say everything is an exchange, right? So you figure your wife basically helps support you, help get you on the right track or whatever. Now, if you don't mind me asking, now what is it that you bring to your wife? What is it that you give her to offset all that she's doing for you?
I push back the same energy. I accept her for her. That's what she set me for me.
Right.
If she needs help with anything, I'm there. She don't have to ask. It's like if I need help, I don't have to ask.
Right.
Once you become aware of it, it's taken care of.
Right.
So it gives a different terminology of 50-50.
Right.
Because we could be 50-50 in a relationship where I just gotta be like, oh babe, I need this. And we at the point where we know each other so good because we're behind each other so much. I mean, the love is for real. It's like, I know when something is right. I pay attention. Right. Just like she pays attention to me.
Right.
So I know when something is right.
You feeling each other's energy.
So it's like, what's the problem?
Right.
All that, we're gonna get through that.
Okay.
And she do it to me too. And I feed a lot off of her. Right. So it's like,
yo, shout out to his wife, man. You definitely held this young king down. And I'm sure he did the same for you, man. We definitely appreciate you and all that you do, because you got a great one right here. I definitely appreciate it. I learned a lot. Thank you for coming through.
anytime.
I appreciate you, brother. If our viewers are interested in trying to look you up, find you, can they find you? Are you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on social media, BB Bugatti on Instagram, and it's the same on Facebook. Right. BEE.
Yo, dude, hell of a story, man. I'm glad you're here on your own accord, man, and share with our people. That's going to do it for this week, guys. Thank you for joining us. My guest, BB, thank you for his inspiring story, man, telling us how just because you start out on one level don't mean you can't ascend. You can always do that. All you got to basically do is just start thinking differently. And once you start thinking differently, you start acting differently. And once you start acting differently, you become differently. So that's going to do it for this week, man. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Click down below, get some of that merch. Matter of fact, I need to click down below to get some of that merch because I need to start repping my own show. But thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Peace.
I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you will always get an alert when a new video drops. Plus, join our website for information on all our shows, trips, and getaways. If you'd like to support the channel, you can by purchasing our new merch in the link below, or go to www.whattodoent.com.